Hey guys, welcome to Imminent Threat Solutions. We are here today with Rich from Texas Door and Trim, and we're at the Ready Lab in Dallas, Texas at Trident Response. They've graciously let us use their facility to test out the Door Devil. You may have seen these on our website before, itstactical.com. We've been doing a couple giveaways with Door Devil, and we wanted to really demonstrate what the Door Devils are like. We want to install it on one of these doors, and basically we're going to kick it until it fails or it doesn't fail. So I wanted to bring Rich in to just kind of talk about the different types of doors and what the weak points are on them. So Rich, if you can kind of talk to that effect of what makes a door strong, where the weak points are.
Sure.
In a door.
First, the door we have right here is probably conducive to being like pretty much every house to garage door. Obviously somebody owning a house, when you exit through the exterior door into your garage, it's the equivalent of this. Solid core, particle board core door. Exterior type frame, so it's thicker than your interior jambs. And regardless of the construction, if you have a door and a jamb, your weak points are going to be your hinge side, your hardware side of the jamb, and then the hardware area of the door itself.
So the actual wood that you're
Correct.
drilling through to install the deadbolt.
Correct, because you're putting essentially a 2 1/8 hole all the way through the door. It takes out a lot of mass. And so when you're doing that, your hardware typically just clamps on the door, and therefore going through another hole into, so you've taken a lot of the substrate out of it, making a lot of weak points.
Sure.
And that's, like I said, any door unit, be it an interior door or an exterior door, those are the three main weak points on any door unit.
One thing I want to mention too is just the defense versus deterrent aspect of this. So what we're going to be installing today, which is a 48-inch long, basically a kick plate that's going to be installed into the door jamb side of this. This is 16 gauge steel. We're also going to be using this install kit that they include. Right out of the box, we're going to install it just like they say to, and then obviously we're going to try to kick it to see if it fails. But in a defense versus deterrent scenario, and one of the things we advocate on ITS is knowing locks, getting familiar with lock picking, things like that, because you learn what the failure points of those are. You'll be able to better protect yourself against those kind of threats. So in this situation, defense versus deterrent, defense would actually be a kick plate upgrade or an anti-kick device versus a deterrent, which is an alarm system. In that kind of scenario, thieves know they have a couple of minutes before the alarm company even calls the police, that type of thing. They can easily come up with a smash and grab and steal thousands of dollars from you before you even know it. So that's kind of what we're talking about today, is the actual deterrent, the defense side of the house, which is installing something like this to prevent that. So Rich, you mentioned actually the major weak points of a door. What's your thought on what something like this is going to actually do to the door to help reinforce against a kick?
Well, looking at what they send to install it, obviously, I think they're 3-inch screws for each one of these holes, and you're adding that, which should hit on any door unit, should hit the stud. And if you do that, that part's not moving. Everything on this side is what's going to move unless you start beefing up that. I don't think you'll kick that in.
Just so you know, Rich doesn't work for Door Devil. This is his first time seeing this. So.
It is my first time to see the Door Devil. So, but I don't think you'll kick that in.
And then also with this kit is an actual protective box that goes around the deadbolt too. Let me show that so you guys can kind of see that on camera too. And it does include all the hardware, which is cool. So whereas most devices in American Hour battery is not included, it actually comes with drill bits and everything you need for it. So that's the actual plate that's going to go over the deadbolt. And then these are those 3.5-inch long screws.
All right, and obviously this satisfies the jam problem.
Yeah.
This then begins to satisfy the door problem. So once again, now you've almost eliminated completely 2 of the weak points.
And they've also included some screws to reinforce the hinge too.
Correct,
So.
and by doing that, then you've now addressed all the weak areas. Granted, if they're big enough and they want in bad enough, that's just going to slow them down, but give somebody plenty of time to seek safety, call for help, whatever, versus just walking in a matter of seconds. This is going to take somebody a lot of work to get through.
I know this is kind of a breaching cage that was built. Rich and his company built this to help out Trident Response for some breaching demonstrations, but the other sides feature different doors, and we'll walk around and see the steel core door in just a second. But can you just kind of talk real quick about the differences between doors that are commonly found on households versus, as you mentioned, this is obviously the garage or the back door.
Correct.
That's kind of what we're going to be kicking.
For the most part, all your not truly exterior doors, but something that leads in from your living quarters, say to a garage or to a storage room, are going to be made of a particle board core, and it's faced with a masonite skin. That's pretty much standard. Your interior doors are masonite skin with a hollow core interior to it. Then your typical house to the backyard or house out the front door can be anything from a metal to fiberglass to custom woods, and even nowadays the new actual iron steel units.
Now you mentioned in those they're typically using 18 gauge steel versus, and this is 16 gauge steel on the door devil.
Correct. When we were talking about the metal doors earlier, the 18 gauge versus 16 gauge, that's actually in a commercial grade door. What you find in residential grade is anywhere from a 24 gauge to a 26 gauge. And so 24, 25, and 26 gauge is the standard thickness of your metal on a residential grade door, which is, I think, what we got installed on one of these other openings.
Well, being a door guy, would you agree that anything, whether it's defense or deterrent we were talking about, is just buying time when it comes to security? 'Cause
yes.
Obviously. So give us an example of a situation where you might be able to get through this without just a kick. I mean, obviously, you said the door might cave before that breaks through. Right?
If you've reinforced all the parts with the door devil stuff, more than likely the door itself is literally going to fail somewhere, somehow, depending on what kind of force is put on it. About the only thing in older homes, this can be a bigger problem, but the old pry bar, pry it, is because framing technology wasn't there in older homes. So it's easy to spread that gap, and regardless, if you can spread it this way, you're going to get it open. But again, it's still buying you time.
Sure.
For the most part, the thief is trying to be a quick grab. If you can slow them down long enough, then you've probably deterred them well enough. They may go to the next house.
Cool. Well, since we've already talked about the steel door, we'll cut away and actually install this thing. So, Rich, appreciate your time.
Thanks
for coming by. We'll get the install done and then show how kicking this thing in. All right, guys, so we're inside the breaching cage now, and what we've got here is that reinforced door on the flip side. What we're going to be doing is installing right into this door jamb, and I just wanted to show you what that looked like before we started the install. So we are going to be taking off this hardware on the deadbolt side, as well as basically making sure that this fits. And one of the tests, which I'm going to show real quick, let me grab this door again, is that you should have the width of 2 dimes able to fit within that space. So we do have the clearance here of 2 dimes, so we are safe to install on that. Again, we're going to get right into the install now. Okay guys, so now we've got everything installed. We've got our 48-inch door devil ready to go. We've got our mini door guard installed. As you can see, that wraps around the deadbolt. And then we've also reinforced the hinges. 1 screw apiece came out of those, and we reinforced with the 3-inch screw that was included in the kit. The only thing that we didn't install were the hinge bolts, and that's just an extra upgrade. You can actually, it takes some extra modification. You have to drill it out with a 1/2-inch drill bit, and basically what you're doing is you're creating a socket for 2 of the hinges to go into to further reinforce the hinges from a hinge side kick. We won't be really demonstrating that, so we left those off, and just note that that is an extra upgrade. But now we are ready to go, and we've got our official Door Devil upgrade sign on there. So let's get to it.
Uno más.
All right, guys, so I have to say the Door Devil performed pretty good. As you can see from the video, we had a couple bigger guys kicking in addition to me. Probably somewhere between 16 and 20 kicks. I haven't really counted. I wasn't counting, so we can go back and look at the footage. But the only things that we kind of saw happen, I mean, obviously the whole structure was moving around quite a bit. We tried to brace as much as we could with weights inside. But you can see we kind of got a little play in the door here, but we couldn't get through there. On this lower side of the hinge, we did have that crack out a little bit, so I'd say with a couple more kicks to the hinge side, we might have been able to get through the door. And remember, we didn't install those separate pieces on the hinge side though, so that might have prevented some of what happened to the hinge side. But as a whole though, we still couldn't get through the door, which is important. So what we did is we actually removed all the hardware, all the Door Devil components from the door now. And yes, we may have weakened it quite a bit, you know, with our kicks and stuff, but we're going to show kind of what it's like to kick it without this hardware too. So we'll get reframed and check that out. Yep, there we go. All right, guys, so you saw that one well-placed or semi-well-placed donkey kick pretty much tore that apart. Now, again, we had those bolts already drilled in here, the holes made already from the Door Devil itself. So, but as you can see, it really didn't crack along that line of any of the holes, which is interesting. Maybe it caught the edge of one, but that's kind of where I expected the fail point at, was actually where those holes were drilled. So that's that really. You can see Door Devil is effective. I mean, it gets an A in my book. So want to thank Door Devil for providing those, and that's that. All right, guys, so we're at the Ready Lab here with Clint Bruce at Trident Response. I just wanted to say thanks for letting him come out, letting us come out here and see what we're all about here. If you want to just walk us through kind of what you guys do at Trident Response, just so our viewers can.
Yeah, I'm happy to. What we get to do at Trident is we get to find great leaders in the private sector and help them manage risks and solve problems. And then what we really do in the Ready Lab is we find ways to kind of learn what their ready looks like. So we define ready as the sum of all your risks, the thing you need to be concerned about. And the ready for is what you're going to do about those things. And so the Ready Lab is a place where we get to help people discover that, and then we get to test new things and try things out. This is basically an RDT&E facility for skills, gear, material, technology. And so you guys are always welcome here. You're always going to have an opportunity to bring stuff in and break it, and
nice.
Bring stuff in and see if it works. And if you really want to test something out, we can let the boys hammer it out a little bit and see how hard it can go. So, no, you're always welcome here, and we're excited to be here.
Thanks, man. I
You
appreciate
bet.
it again.
Absolutely, brother.
Thanks.
So.